Let's start a podcast about our mental health. For no good reason why, let's call it Mind Cake.
Howdy, everyone, and welcome to another slice of Mind Cake
Mind Cake.
with her,
Isabel Compton and him.
Paul Beeson. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. How are you today, Izzy?
Yeah,
You good?
yeah.
Yeah? Are you going to do the whole podcast instead of your old man?
I don't know.
I'm already the chat's flowing better.
Well, just keep that in. I'm back now. So
Hey.
I heard you started the show without me.
Well, we had to because you were nowhere to be seen. Your kids are just running riot,
running feral round the house. Decided to introduce themselves. How
Yeah.
are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right from 5 minutes ago when we bookended the last bonus episode. Still feeling quite ill.
Yeah. Not much has changed since we recorded the bonus episode, has it?
Not really, no.
Because it's been done in the same slot. You all right?
No, I'm a bit. Let's get something knocked out before we get invaded again. So obviously I'm getting a reputation for my hard-hitting Jeremy Paxman style interviews.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one question I think we mentioned which I forgot to ask, which was how did Cam Cooney feel about Australia being allowed in the Eurovision Song Contest?
Did he even answer that?
No, but I've texted him.
All right, okay.
Out.
I'm starting to go, hang on, I would have remembered that from listening.
No. So he's responded. The fact I, as an Aussie, don't even watch the Eurovision should be enough to answer. But if there's a chance at beating the English at something, well, sure as fuck show up for that.
Good man.
We'll let him off because it's obviously the UK. England don't have an entry of their own.
No, that's right. It's
a UK entry.
It's the United Kingdom.
But I think we can answer that as no, he doesn't.
Yeah. I don't think the UK have been particularly well liked in Eurovision the last little while. We used to do all right.
25 years.
Yeah. It's almost as if people are treating it as a political thing. Who'd have thought?
No, I don't think that's the case at all, Paul.
No,
that's the case. One thing I will do while we're talking about Cam Cooney is because it was a very good episode.
It was fascinating. Yeah, it was a really interesting interview.
Just to let you know, if you go on his website, which I would definitely be going to this, except we're away that weekend. But he is doing a interstellar meditation at the Glasgow Planetarium.
Oh, wow.
How awesome does that sound?
When is that?
I think it's the weekend of the 9th of August. Interstellar meditation, Friday the 9th of August at 4 p.m. This event is an immersive meditation and visual experience. Using a Hans Zimmer soundtrack from the movie Interstellar, you will be guided through a meditation to the outer edges of the universe, followed by a live presenter-led tour of our night sky, Milky Way, galaxy, and solar system and beyond.
That sounds bloody amazing.
That sounds ace. So, yeah, I would be booking in for that.
Yeah, get yourselves along.
There's 13 spots left. So, yes, go on a link to his website is on the link tree, not the LinkedIn tree. Easy mistake to make. So, yeah, click on there. If you fancy the sound of that, then get yourself along to Interstellar.
Yes.
Also, while we're talking about, so we need a Lee Crompton's anecdote corner, but when we mentioned about Australians being sweary as a nation, it did remind me of I learnt to surf in St Ives, and the guy took us through our paces, and he was very, very polite, British gentleman who was like, right, well, you put your hands here and you do this and you pop up and try and get your weight. No, you haven't quite got that rightly. If you try and do this and you try and do that, and it's all very kind of, PC, shall we say. I also did a surfing lesson in Australia, and I just remember the man was very, very shouty and very, very sweary. And like, no, you're not doing it like that. I can't do the accent, but you're not doing that. I just remember from the whole
Is he
lesson,
a Cockney?
the whole thing I took away from the lesson was when I could get to my knees, and then
Mhm.
it was that final pop up, and I just remember him shouting into the ocean as I'm trying desperately to try and go, just stand the fuck up, Lee. We're not praying a fucking Mecca. Yeah, different strokes for different folks. Was that a bit more Australian?
Yeah, that was better.
Thanks.
And that was Lee Crompton's Anecdote Corner.
Wasn't one of my better ones, was it?
No.
No.
Valid, though. Valid.
Well, let's stop all this nonsense and get into the meat of the sandwich, which this week is Rachel Smith from the Wolves Foundation.
Mm. Yes, it's a really interesting listen, this one, actually. I really enjoyed it.
Well,
I enjoy them all. But I really enjoyed this one.
We do enjoy some more than others.
You can't say that.
That's just a fact.
Oh, dear.
So without further ado, let's meet Rachel from the Wolves Foundation. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Slice of Mind Cake, where this week we are privileged to have Rachel Smith, who is the Health and Wellbeing Manager at Wolves Foundation. Welcome to Mind Cake, Rachel.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
You are very welcome. We're delighted to have you on. Do you want to start, Rachel, by telling us a bit about what the Wolves Foundation is and what you do?
Yes, of course. So we're the official charity of Wolves Football Club, but we are an independent charity. So as similar organisations, a lot of our funding comes from external sources, and our main aim as the Wolves Foundation is to improve the lives of individuals in our local community, obviously city of Wolverhampton. So we kind of have three main pillars, and that's around encouraging healthier and more active people, creating kind of safer and stronger communities, and promoting lifelong learning and skills. So that kind of covers a lot of the projects that we run. We currently have just shy of 50 projects across the foundation,
Oh, wow.
ranging from pregnancy and birth all the way up to older adults and everything in between. So my main role is health and wellbeing. So we run a variety of different initiatives improving physical and mental health of the community. So we have kind of parent and toddler and baby exercise classes. We run diabetes education. We have a mental health program. We do a lot of physical activity, from walking football to women's football, walking cricket, and we do a lot with older adults as well. So we have quite a few dementia groups, social groups for older adults to come together on a weekly basis as well. So lots of different things kind of going on, and that's just kind of one section of the foundation, really.
There's a lot going on. And does that mainly all take place at the stadium, or do you go out into the community, or how does that work?
A bit of everything, really. So a lot of our work is out in the community, but we also have the beauty of using our stadium as well, Molineux. So we use Molineux for a lot of like our mental health provision, for example. So it's a nice space to come to. It's a non-clinical setting, that sort of thing. People like to have a bit of a nosy, and you sit in that the nice boxes that people maybe don't get the chance to do.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah.
So I see that you're doing Head for Health. Now, is that as like a separate arm of the foundation then? Or is that a separate program, or how does that fit into the foundation?
Yeah, so Head for Health is one of our projects, and it's solely focused around mental wellbeing. So it's just coming into its 6th year now. When Wolves were fortunately promoted back into the Premier League, good 6 years ago, we were able to bid into some funding through the Premier League and the Professional Footballers Association. And we worked closely kind of with our local council and really wanted to know what's the local need within the city. And at the time, it was there was a lack of support really for men's mental health. So not maybe as much out there for men to go and access if they did need some support. I fully appreciate as a female, I'm sitting here saying this, but men less likely to reach out for help, less likely to access their GP, maybe less likely to talk about how they are feeling. So Head for Health was kind of born, and we're still running now, but we are open to all adults. So anyone over the age of 18 can now access the programme, not just males.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know, probably going off piste here, but we had Alistair Campbell on last time. I say that like it's a normal everyday occurrence. And we're talking about this sort of mental health in construction, and construction being obviously male dominated, and the fact that suicide in particular in construction is particularly high. He didn't think it was because women opened up more, or what the perception was of why. I mean, I don't know whether you had any views on why you think it's men as opposed to women generally, who I think 75% of the suicides, I'm taking, obviously, I know that's only a small part of mental health as a whole, but there is a high percentage of men that seem to be affected by it. I wondered if you had any thoughts on why that might be.
I think, again, and I always really appreciate the fact that when it comes from, I guess, from a female perspective, I can only say it from maybe how I think a lot of like my female friends, we are quite open, and if we're having a bad day, the first person I reach out to is my best mate. I try to get that off my chest a little bit. I think from what we've heard from, I can't speak for like my male colleagues or male participants that we've had, but I think a lot is the stigma of talking and opening up. And I think there's potentially that, whether that's because from years and years of, men don't cry, or men don't talk about how they're feeling, or they have to be the provider, they have to be the strong one, and they potentially view having a mental health issue or struggling with their mental health as a weakness, potentially. Yeah. Obviously, the statistics around male suicides, I guess, is the proof's in the pudding in a way. It's kind of, all the stats show that men are more likely to take their own life, unfortunately, than women. I think there's different things out there with whether it's maybe the means that they choose. And obviously women do attempt to take their own life, but successful isn't the right word, but it's kind of like completed, if that makes sense. So I think it's potentially the means that people use for that. Farming has a very similar rates. So suicide rates in farmers are also quite high. And again, potentially from a male dominated industry, but also from an access and means to methods. Yeah.
Which is exactly what Alistair Campbell was saying last time, that construction, if you work in construction, you work in, if you're a vet, if you work in farming, you've got the means to do it.
Yeah.
Which I suppose neatly brings us on to how I discovered the Wolves Foundation through your I have to say, very powerful video. I did shed a tear watching the video that you've recently done on suicide. If people haven't seen it, we'll put a link in our link tree, and obviously we'll post it on social media. I think it's very, very powerful stuff. I just wondered how that came about. How does something like that come about? Are you sat in a room as the Wolves Foundation going, how could we do this? Or is he a grime artist, the guy that's in the video?
Yes.
I mean, did he come up with the idea, or did you approach him? How does that whole thing? I mean, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But I just wondered how that idea comes to life.
No, definitely. I think you're not the only person. I think most people have cried watching the video as well. When I saw the first edit, it was at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. I'm sitting at my desk in kind of floods of tears. So I think it's a very, very powerful video. And I'd say that the people that come and share their story, they're the ones that make it. It doesn't matter about anything else. They're the heroes. They're the ones that actually should be so, so proud, because that's kind of that. It wouldn't be anything without them. If they didn't come and approach Reaper, who was the guy that stood with the sign, it would not be worthy of putting out. The whole kind of idea, it was more something that I'd seen probably about 6 months ago, a similar concept on social media. And then obviously in the lead up to Mental Health Awareness Week, which was a couple of weeks ago now, obviously a few months back, thinking, what could we do that's a bit different? Obviously, we've seen how well Norwich have used their kind of platform and the football club, and that really, really impactful video around suicide late last year. So trying to think of something that we can do as a football club, as a foundation, to have a similar impact, really. So similar concept of what I'd seen randomly on social media and gone, you know what, be brave, but let's try this at a football game and see what happens. So I kind of presented it to our media team, who were on board with things, and the guy Reaper, who stands with the sign, he's from Wolverhampton. He's a local artist, and he's now a foundation ambassador as well. So the kind of quite a few different links in that, but he's a big guy. He's I mean, I'm short, so everyone looks really tall, but he's well over 6 foot. It's quite a powerful thing, I think, for him to stand there. Obviously, he had a blindfold on. He wanted to try and reduce some of that, maybe those barriers of people going up and feeling judged or anything like that. But he stood there for a good hour and a half, fully blindfolded, just with the placard, just waiting for people to engage, really. And I think he's done a few interviews off the back of it, and him saying, he was nervous in the lead up because you're in the middle of, or the approach to a football stadium. You don't know who's going to come up, what they're going to do. Obviously, we did have some staff and security around, don't get me wrong, but you still don't know. It's just that kind of waiting game.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to speak to him because, like you say, it's one thing that the video is really, really powerful. It's another thing, like you say, you've got a guy just before a football match stood there with basically he's got a wolf scarf on as a blindfold, holding a placard. For those who haven't seen it, holding a placard. And I can't remember exactly what the placard says, but it's something to do with, well, can you remember what it actually says on the sign?
It's around, obviously, poor mental health and suicidal thoughts are more common than we tend to admit. And then it had some stats around suicide. So obviously, suicide is the biggest killer of men and women under the age of 35 and of men under the age of 50. And then it had a statement of, feel free to come give me a hug or stop for a chat if you need it. So
that's it. That's the one. That's the bit that got me as well. If you just want to chat, I want a hug. And I think, like you say, from his perspective, he's holding up this placard. He's got a wolf scarf around his face, so he can't see. And I think the lovely thing was as well that it was just before a Luton game.
Yes.
So there was Luton fans coming up to him as well and having the chat and engaging with him. And, even just, I mean, some of the things that, yes, you've got the people's stories, which was really, really powerful. But it was even just the people just walking past and just tapping him on the shoulder, just going, "Well done, mate. You're doing a great job." And just that, it's a really lovely video, and I urge anyone who hasn't seen it to watch it because it's so good. But yeah, I mean, from his perspective, there must have been some nerves just stood blindfolded, regardless of the fact that there's some security around ready to pounce. But if anything untoward, but no, it was just brilliant, just brilliant. So no, we'll put that out on our socials. So what inspired you, Rachel Smith, to get involved in? What is your background? How did you get involved in the Wolves Foundation in the first place?
So when I went to uni, I did sport and exercise science as a degree. So I enjoyed sport, PE, that sort of stuff at school. Didn't really know what I wanted to do for a career, but thought if I keep it broad, I can always then specialise at a later point. And then when I finished university, my first job was going into schools, talking around sports science, medical workshops, doing some like fun workshop type stuff. And then, unfortunately, I got made redundant from that post. And while I was looking for work, I saw a position at the Wolves Foundation, and that was around getting people into physical activity. So again, similar kind of aspects around that. And yeah, I got the job, and 9 years later, I'm still here, and my role has changed quite vastly, but still health and wellbeing focused. Used to just be part of, there was maybe myself and one other in the team. We're now a team of 10. So like the growth that we've been able to have across like these 9 years is great, really. But I never even knew that foundations existed before I joined the Wolves Foundation. Every football club and a lot of rugby clubs will have some form of community organisation, charity attached to them, doing great work in their local community. It might be quite a lot of projects around a range of different things, depending on the size of the organisation. But wherever people are listening to this podcast, your local football club will more than likely have a community organisation that is doing similar stuff to what we are.
Well, I saw that. I don't know whether it's Head for Health or whether is it Head for Health is that a Wolves Foundation thing or is that a Premier League thing?
Yeah, so Head for Health is the Wolves Foundation project that is funded through the Premier League and the Professional Footballers Association. So as we're called club community organisation, so we're attached to the football club even though we're independent, and that allows us to bid into some money that the Premier League and Professional Football Association have. So it kind of opens different doors that other charities may not be kind of able to get to.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, like you say, it's a huge platform. I would be interested to know whether you think other clubs with, Wolves have got a big profile, but there's also other clubs with large profiles are doing enough to kind of promote good mental health in the community. Because, like I say, it's only since I've found out about the Wolves Foundation, seen that video, that I've then gone on, because I'm originally from down Bournemouth, a Bournemouth fan, that Bournemouth are doing bits and pieces, and even up here, St Mirren and Motherwell and other clubs up here are doing great work as well. And I just wonder, how do you or other clubs get that message out there to fans or to anybody in the community, I guess?
No, definitely, and that's the thing. It's something that I feel that we will always be trying to do. I don't think we'll ever get to a point where everyone knows who we are, what we do, what they can access that will potentially benefit them. So a lot of our kind of work, we do work very closely with partners within like the city, as will any kind of community organisation, to try and get the word out, because that might be referrals into projects, it might be signposting, getting some bit of partnership work in, all of that sort of stuff. Social media is a big one. So even aside from this video, obviously, which helps boost awareness, it is a lot of the time it's just putting stuff out there, trying to increase your reach, but word of mouth a lot of the time. So we are out in the community a lot. We do obviously carry the club badge. It gets people talking, it gets people asking questions. So yeah, we are out and about a lot of the time, in people's faces, different events, working with different community groups, that sort of thing. But I completely agree. Sometimes it's the hardest thing of trying to get people aware of what we do, because there might be something that we're running that actually would really help them.
Is there anything specifically that Head for Health or that you're involved in at the minute that you're finding really useful? I mean, I suppose for our listeners, what if someone in the area was interested in coming along, what would that look like? Is it sharing circles? Is it what events do you actually put on that under the Head for Health banner?
Yeah, so we have a variety of different things really. So we run an 8-week cohort, and that's small group session and consists of a mixture of like informational workshops and physical activity if the group want to. So workshops might be things like talking about coping with stress and different coping strategies, might be similar with like anxiety as the topic. We link in with local organisations, so like drug and alcohol support services come in and talk about how they can support. We have inspirational speakers that come in and share about their journey. We link in with our local Samaritans community team as well. So just trying to show people that there are some light touch things that they can potentially do themselves, but also that there are services out there to support them if they do need some further help. But what obviously the main aim of us doing it in that small group is the sharing of maybe coping strategies or experience across the group. And I think a lot of people find comfort in that it's not just them. It can be really isolating and really lonely when you're struggling with your mental health, and easy to think it's only me. Everyone else is fine. Everyone else is smiley, happy, can go about their day-to-day life. But actually, once you get everyone into a room in a safe space and people are open and honest, people aren't okay. And I think people get a lot of comfort from knowing that there's others in a similar situation. It's not just like an 8-week block and then you're out the door kind of thing. We call them extra time sessions, so trying to, I guess, link with football, but they're basically weekly sessions. Come in, have a chat. There's no set agenda. It might be about how you're feeling, it might be about the football, it might be about the weather, whatever people want to talk about. We do monthly workshops, so that might be around things like financial well-being, it might be physical health education, that sort of thing. We have a couple of walk and talk sessions a week, and a football group and an allotment group as well. So just different elements that we know helps boost our mental well-being. But obviously everyone is different and everyone finds that different things help them. So trying to put on a variety of different activities that people can attend all if they want to, or they can pick and choose which things suit them best.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important, like you say, for fear of repeating myself on the podcast. But that's the main reason that we are kind of doing what we're doing, because we find that we're exploring different avenues, speaking to different people, because different things work for different people. And also I've found with my own mental health and people who've come to me, and if you do share your stories, all of a sudden it does feel that there's a burden lifted. If someone goes, oh yeah, no, I sometimes feel like that as well. And you go, oh really? I thought it was just me that felt like that. And all of a sudden you don't feel quite as, for want of a non-PC word, as much of a weirdo as you maybe consider yourself, because you're having this feeling that you think it's just you, and actually no, it's another, whoever it is you're speaking to, and that in itself I think can be hugely cathartic, that you're not alone in that.
No, definitely.
So how can listeners support the Wolves Foundation and get involved?
So to get involved in, I guess, in our programs, a lot of our programs are face to face. So obviously COVID put everything online, and at a time anyone could then access things. But because we are face to face, obviously, ideally you need to be local to Wolverhampton, which I appreciate many of your listeners aren't.
But I have to
Um,
say, that you don't have to be a Wolves fan, because I've seen in
No.
your videos that one of the guys had a West Brom top on, and as I was born in Bromsgrove, I think the nearest club to me is West Brom, so I would be welcomed with open arms, even
Yeah.
though I was born in Bromsgrove.
Yeah, we put all football rivalries aside.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you a
so
Wolves
yeah,
fan?
I am. Yes,
Are you
yeah.
contractually obliged to say yes?
No, believe it or not, but I have to say I wasn't a Wolves fan before I started working for Wolves.
Okay.
But yeah, I've definitely grown to love them.
You've indoctrinated into the Wolves family.
Yes, pretty much. But I guess if people aren't necessarily local to us, there are still bits of the different resources and support on our website. But I'd urge you to try and, I guess, not everyone wants to speak to their GP or access more of a clinical route. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But there's still other support services out there. So whether it is like the Samaritan's phone line or the Shout text line, or trying to find something in your local community that is potentially doing something similar, because a lot of our stuff is it's facilitating people coming together, talking about things, learning new skills that might help their mental well-being, and there's potentially something going on similar on your own doorstep, I guess.
Yeah, and like you said,
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of clubs out there doing similar things.
Yeah, definitely.
Was it the Head for Health is for over 18s, and I just see, obviously a lot of, I know things are changing, but a lot of supporters are young males. Is there anything that you do for, I suppose, under 18s or supporters that are of a younger generation?
So we have a project called Advantage, which again a number of other football club organisations also work on at the moment, but that's for under 18s and some over. So it's like a 14 to 25 kind of age bracket, but that's in partnership with CAMS, so with the NHS Children Mental Health Services. So working in partnership, so they have a CAMS contact and they will be getting support through CAMS, but in addition to that they have mentoring sessions with staff from the foundation, so that's again held at Molyneux. It might be walking around the pitch, different activities like that to kind of go alongside the support that they're receiving from the NHS. But promoting good mental well-being and resilience runs through nearly all of the projects that we work through at the foundation. So we do a lot of work in primary schools, for example, and we do a lot of resilience, feelings, that sort of thing in our like PHSE workshops. From our preschool provision, again, it's starting to try and recognise feelings, and it's really difficult for 2-year-old, a 4-year-old
Tell me about it.
Explain how they're feeling. So trying to do different things that can kind of help with that, but also some like calming strategies as well. So like yoga and breathing and that sort of stuff. So I guess it completely depends on the people we're working with and the age group that we're working with, but we do try to embed different aspects of mental health and well-being in everything that we do, really.
No, that's brilliant. And again, it was something that cropped up in a previous interview, that rather than I've got mental health problems, I'm going to go to my GP, it's having that sort of preventative, and again, I hope that people that listen to this podcast aren't all suffering with mental health problems. I'd hope that, there's strategies that people take away from this that, helps them on a daily basis, rather than a reactive thing. Like you say, you need to have the tools in your tool bag before hopefully anything happens. Well, thank you for that. Before we get on to some hard-hitting questions, Wolves, I know, have a club mascot, Wolfie. Do the Wolves Foundation have a mascot, or is it Wolfie?
It is basically Wolfie. So yeah, Wolfie comes, I guess, across all aspects of Wolves. So yeah, Wolfie is our mascot as well. We don't have a separate one.
No, that's fine. I did on my hard-hitting Paxman style interview last year. I believe Wolfie had a redesign, and some people I see on social media say he looks more like a fox. And I wondered, do you have any thoughts on the rebranding of Wolfie?
Not
And
really.
also, but I know you're struggling for an answer, because you're going to have to give a yes. I think the new Wolfie's brilliant. But also, as I'm thinking about this, is it one person is that a job, being Wolfie, or could
Yes.
anyone come along
Yes, we
I
do
don't know
tend
how
to
that
have
works.
we do tend to have the same person as
Right.
Wolfie, and
There's
obviously
like
we
the
have
stig.
Wendy and
You're not allowed
Wilfred.
to reveal their identity.
Yes,
Okay.
it's all a secret. But yeah, I think change is difficult at times, isn't it? And it looks very different from what he used to look
More
like. But
cartoony, isn't he?
yeah, but I'm sure people will grow to love him the same.
I'm sure they will. I don't want this to be a stock question, but again, it's probably pertinent. You can give your own personal view, but on the interview with Alistair Campbell, I asked him whether he was a fan of VAR, and he said a categoric no. And I think I'm right in saying that is it Wolves that have put in I don't know what the thing is, but they've lobbied the Premier League, and there's a meeting next month.
Yeah, I think it's next week or the
Next
week
week,
after.
is it? Right, okay.
Yeah.
As to whether VAR potentially might be scrapped. Am I right in saying that?
Yes.
If I think it's 14 of the 22 vote. What do you have any? Like I say, I don't want this to be a stock question for every. But do you have any views on VAR?
I think that it was brought in obviously to be an advancement, wasn't it? It was all meant to become better, less error, all of that sort of stuff. But it's just personally, it's just not worked as well. And I'll say this as a personal view. I'm not necessarily representing
No,
kind of
absolutely, that's
fan it,
fine.
but I think obviously it does go hand in hand with the statement that we have put out as a club. It's not, as a match going fan, you're left in the dark. You don't know what's going on. Maybe if you're watching from home, then VAR is probably best suited to watch it on like a live TV stream maybe instead. But in the stadium, you're kind of left in the dark. You don't know whether to celebrate a goal. You don't know what's going on when they're checking something. But also, I think it's not consistent. I thought the aim was that it brings in consistency, but I think as a club, Wolves have been very shortchanged through VAR over the last few seasons, and yeah, it's a difficult one because it was meant to make everything
Fairer.
better and kind of remove any of those dodgy decisions that make you irate. But I think it's actually creating more of those instances. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think there's some change that needs to be made, but if it does stay, it needs to get a lot better. It's my personal thoughts.
Yeah, no, like I say, I think there are other sports that seem to use similar technology to their advantage, and it kind of adds to the spectacle, whereas football, like I say, seems to just have added more confusion. So it'd be interesting to see, what happens next week and see whether we have VAR next season.
Yes.
But Rachel, that has been really, really good fun. Thank you so much for giving up your time to speak to us. And we will post the video and links to the foundation on our link tree. And yeah, maybe one day if I'm in the area, I'll pop in and say hello.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. And obviously, if anyone does have any questions around kind of if they are local and they're listening to this podcast, then you can just get in touch with us through the foundation channels, and yeah, more than welcome to come along to different things that we run.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers. Bye-bye. That was the wonderful Rachel from the Wolves Foundation. What did you think of that, Paul?
I really enjoyed that. Being a football fan, it's really interesting to hear what Wolves are doing with regards to mental health and sort of their community kind of work. Such an important thing to do, and it's something more clubs are doing now, a sort of that community engagement kind of thing. But it's such an important thing. Football's one of those things that kind of brings people together, doesn't it? And it's a big important part in the communities of people up and down the country, well, around the world, I guess. So being able to engage with them about their mental health and things like that is such an important thing.
And I think, like you say, people do connect over that. It's quite tribal. So if you can bring in good mental health, positive mental health into that environment, then I think that can only be a good thing. And I think we've spoken about this before, but the video is very powerful. So no, we'll definitely stick that up and have a look if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah.
Okay, on to back to the waffle for regular. I'll say long-time listeners. We have been doing this over 6 months now.
Ooh.
Will remember Ice Bath Gate.
Oh God, yeah. Who could forget?
There's been an update.
Oh my God.
There's been an update.
I can't believe it. I thought we'd put all this behind us.
We're not done.
Oh man.
Well, we are done as of today,
Oh
because
man.
having received my numerous ice baths and a sauna and my refund and everything else that went on with that, I got an email out of the blue at the weekend from said company to say, we're sorry for all the inconvenience that has been caused. And we noticed that you have left a 1-star review on Trustpilot. If we were to send you one of our £400 saunas with red light therapy inbuilt, would you mind taking your review down? And I've gone, absolutely not. I can't be bought. No, I didn't say that. I said, yes, please send me the sauna. Send me the sauna and I will take it down in a heartbeat. So today, the sauna, I'm so bad. Is that bad?
No.
I've basically
Because
been
you got a free sauna. You've got a free £400 sauna.
Yeah. It's not even the one that came originally. It's the red light version.
It's the
which
better one.
Apparently it's supposed to be good for your skin and your
Oh wow.
red light therapy. Maybe do a thing on that red light therapy.
Yeah. So has it arrived, or did this conversation?
It's literally just arrived this afternoon, because I thought, oh, here we go. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to take the review down and then, oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
7 weeks later, it's still not arrived. Then you get three of them.
It's arrived within 3 days.
Oh, so they can efficiently post stuff out when they want.
Apparently so.
Wow. Who knew? Well, I'll take the review down, but I tell you what, the verbal battering the companies, that's going to be an ongoing thing on this podcast, I believe.
No, I like them now. I think they're great. Yeah.
Okay. I think they're great, mate.
Yeah.
So
So
you'll have to get involved and let us know how it is.
I will. Yes, it's again has the sauna and the red light. Again, I think it's worth doing. The things are out there that it improves in sleep and it improves your circulation and your mental health and blah 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 blah. So definitely worth doing a trial of maybe trying it every night for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and see whether it does actually have any effect or not. But I'm definitely, I'm definitely going to give it a whirl. But yeah, so I think we can now say that is Ice Bath Gate officially closed. Case closed.
And Sauna Gate is about to open.
Sauna Gate is the doors to the Sauna Gate are about to open. Man,
Lovely.
it's going to be steamy in there.
Ooh, steamy.
Oh, Jesus. Just made me feel a bit sick.
What else?
Oh, Lisa's housekeeping. Oh, how very lovely.
If you'd like to drop us an email, and we love reading your emails, please email us at sliceofmindcake@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Mindcake Podcast, and you can find us on Facebook if you search for Mindcake.
Hurrah! I'm just going to check if anyone has emailed in the last 10 minutes since the last episode that we recorded. No, still Carrie at the top of the list. We have had people who want to be on it.
In the
Hello,
emails.
Paul and Lee. Author Anne B. Moore is currently available for interviews. We appreciate the conversations you cultivate at Mindcake Podcast and believe an interview with Anna would be a great fit.
Yeah, that just smacks of a copy and paste email where they just put the title of whatever podcast in that.
Absolutely.
Sentence.
They're generally self-published authors. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
He said self-publishing-y.
I think it's a great way to publish myself. Cut out the middleman, just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. So no, we won't be having her on. So have you got anything else to say, Paul?
No, I don't. I have,
Actually, I have got something else to say. I've just remembered.
Okay.
For all my piss taking, I hope you know that I've got a lot of love and respect for you.
Oh, of course I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Look into my eyes and say that.
Of course I do.
Because you are, a very successful writer.
Well,
you are. The reviews on your last one was at the festival, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So is this the one all I wanted is the one that you're writing now that you really didn't need to go to Germany for, but you did. Is that a sequel to
I see. No, so it's a brand new play. I mean, it's officially unrelated to everything else,
Right.
but it'll be the fourth show that we've done at the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
However,
The
because the
four.
show, yeah, so we've done A War of Two Halves,
Yeah.
Sweet FA,
Oh, of course.
Never
Yeah.
Trouble Trouble, and then this one, which is called This Is Our Story.
Right.
But because this one is focusing on the history of Hearts Football Club,
Mm.
we are touching on the First World War and Bobby Walker, who was the player from Never Trouble Trouble.
Kyle's great granddad.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
twice removed. So we are kind of tapping into previous stuff, but then, apart from the stuff we've already focused on, everything else is going to be brand new.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And that's going to go on in the summer.
Yeah, so we start rehearsing next week. So I better finish writing it.
Hang on. So how does that work logistically then? So because you've got the writing element, you've got
Yeah.
you've got the idea element, you've then got the actual writing it down element. So had you secured with Hearts that was the venue before you'd started writing it?
Yeah. We had the idea
Yeah.
because it's the 150th anniversary of the club this year. So when it came to thinking about doing a show this year for the Fringe and stuff, that's the idea we had. And Hearts were like, cool, we want that to happen. And then we've done everything kind of backwards. We booked our venue, we designed the set. We've got our brilliant graphic designer, Alan Davidson, who's working on all our imagery. He's just sent an email a minute ago, actually, with a finished little trailer that's going to go online.
Nice.
The set's getting built shortly. We've got a cast.
How many's in the cast?
There's 4 actors, and we've got a little band in the corner as well. So we're going to have live music.
Right, but did you know who was going to be in it before you started, or have you had to cast? Have you had to do?
No, so through our sort of planning stage, we sort of thought, right, we're going to have a cast of 4, 2 male, 2 female, and I started to write it with that in mind.
Mm.
So now that we've got the cast, things will happen.
But when did you start writing it?
I've done little bits and bobs, but I've really only got stuck into it properly like the last 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that not a bit bonkers?
Yeah. I'm
You're supposed to be doing it in August. So
shitting
you're starting.
myself.
So you only started writing it a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and you're starting rehearsals
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah. So I've got a week. But it's fine. It's all planned out. I know what's happening. I just need to.
This is making me anxious just thinking about it, Paul. And I'm not nothing to do with it.
Maybe that's why I'm ill.
I
Maybe
think
that's
yeah.
It's like because I'm not getting stressed up here because I know I've got to do the writing, so all my stress is just physically getting pushed out of me.
Or supporting Heart and Midlothian gives you a pooey bottom. Maybe other Hearts fans could get in contact and find out whether they concur that supporting Hearts gives them a pooey bottom.
We'll do a poll on Twitter. We'll see.
I can do it on the end of the episode. You can do a poll. Does supporting Heart and Midlothian give you a pooey bottom? True or false?
False.
Well, in your case, I would suggest it's true.
Well, it's not the supporting of the club. It's the writing of the show about supporting the club.
That's quite a lot of pressure as well, because there's 150 years of history.
Yeah.
And you're flying by your seats. You only started writing it a fortnight ago.
Yeah, listen, it's all up here.
And why didn't I get a chance to try out for it?
I didn't think you would with all your quiz work.
Well, that's like a punch to the nuts. That is, you know damn well that there isn't any quiz work.
No, but I view you more as a
host.
Yeah, a host rather than an actor. There's a difference there.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. So, on the back of your connection with Heart and Midlothian Football Club,
yeah,
and as the basis that we've just listened to the Wolves Foundation episode, do you have any inroads into finding out whether Hearts do something similar?
I do.
In terms of community engagement?
Yeah, if you give me just a second. Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, myself and Bruce were guests at the Heart Midlothian plot ceremony. So, for those of you that don't know, there's a fan organisation called the Foundation of Hearts, which myself and Bruce are members of, and we pay a monthly direct debit into this scheme because Hearts are the biggest fan-owned club in Great Britain. Not a lot of people know that. Yep. And so
Is Bruce Australian? Is he allowed to?
No, he's not.
All
he
right.
has an Australian name, but yeah.
Okay.
And so when you reach a certain level in the foundation of Hearts, you get a plot, like a piece of the Tynecastle turf.
So you make it sound like Scientology.
Yeah.
When you reach a certain level of
Yeah. Because for every pound you put in, you earn points. Do you know what I mean? So when you get to a certain point level, you get a plot.
What do points make?
Plots. So I had my own plot ceremony last year. So I got my certificate. I have a piece of Tynecastle's turf, which belongs to me. I am Lord Beeson of Tynecastle Park.
Right. Does it give you like a? Can you tell where it is? Is it like near the halfway line or what?
Yeah. You can tell. So I'm near in between the corner flag and the 18-yard box, in the corner between the main stand and the school end.
Nice. So
Yeah.
how big is your plot?
Very small, because there's a
square
lot.
foot?
There's lots of members, so but it's made very clear at the ceremony that you're not allowed to build any property on your plot. You can't sell your plot for a monetary value, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so me and Bruce were guests at the latest plot ceremony, and at my table was a lovely woman called Charlotte, who works for an organization called Big Hearts, which is the sort of charitable and community sort of wing of the football club. And we were chatting, and I said, "Oh, I do this podcast with my friend about mental health. Would you be willing to come on and chat about the work that Big Hearts does in the community and how that relates to mental health and that kind of stuff?" And she was well up for it.
Well, there you go.
So, there we go. That was a long answer. The short answer is yes. I do have an inroad. So I will be getting in touch with Charlotte when the dust settles and the show is written. I'll give her and I'll be working at Tynecastle rehearsing anyway, so I'll be able to just track her down and speak to her as well. So
on the basis that you actually managed to write something in the next. It just make me feel nauseous thinking about this. How can you do that?
I've always worked best under pressure, mate. Ever since I was young.
And then what do you write it on? So this is not mental health related to
Paper?
No, but I mean, is there a script you would write on Final Draft, and there's a particular layout that you need to follow?
Yeah, do you know, I've only ever used Final Draft for TV kind of stuff, like for screenplays. I never thought about using the play function, because there is a play format on Final Draft.
Yeah, but do you write it? Do you write it on? So when you're saying on paper, you're not being facetious. You do just write it down on paper.
Yeah, no, I do. I always start in a notebook and then transfer it into like a Word document.
But has it got a certain layout?
No, I just format it myself and just put the characters' names in bold and then tab it over, so it's sort of laid out like a proper
Could
play.
I see that at some point? I'm just curious as to how
Yeah. And the only reason I'm not doing it in Final Draft is because, at least if I do it in Word, I just know how to do it. Like Final Draft, although it's a great piece of software, it's especially working with a new layout.
Yeah,
it would be a lot of faffing and stuff, and I don't have time to faff.
Clearly don't have time to faff. No, but is it still the same with internal, external, and all that? Is it like?
It's not quite the same. You don't have to be quite as specific. So the stage directions can be written. I think with plays, stage directions are basically playwright's choice. Like, you can decide how to lay it out, how much information you want to give. Some plays have got really detailed stage directions. Some don't have any. Just have a sort of scene numbers which delineate a sort of break in the narrative or whatever. But I'll send you over something that I've written in the past, and you can have a look.
Yeah, no, I'm obviously don't want a sneaky peek of the new one. That would be, just sign my life away.
I'll send you one of the old ones, and then you can have a look.
Yeah, but just even like you say, so like scenes. You know what I mean? It was a dark, misty night, and da 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 da, which I presume You know, because you're still doing
Well,
in a set, aren't you?
yeah, we've got a set. So I mean, I'll give you an example.
Give me an example, Paul.
So this is from the new play. So this is a world exclusive.
Oh, blimey. Do we need the audience to sign all three of them to sign an NDA?
So here, so in the show we've got like a sort of prologue where we do an introduction kind of scene, and then scene one proper. So we've got scene one, and then underneath in what you would normally have on your screenplay, like your interior, exterior, or whatever,
Yeah.
I have written 1874, the Heart of Midlothian Quadrille Assembly Dance Club. A Victorian version of the Heart song plays. The cast greet formally and begin to dance a traditional quadrille. As they dance, they address the audience. The music continues to underscore the scene. And then the dialogue starts.
What's the first line of dialogue?
It was here, under the shadow of Arthur's seat, at this very dance club in 1873, that the first...
Wow. What a teaser.
Yeah. So just to give it a bit of context, it was a group of people who went to a dance club that had the first kickabout, and then that
really?
led to the formation of the football club. Yeah, so it was built out of a group of guys who used to go to a refreshment room, do a bit of dancing, a bit of drinking, and they decided to have a kickabout one afternoon, and the football team was born.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are they the oldest club in Scotland? Who is the oldest club in Scotland?
The oldest club in Scotland is, I think it's Queen's Park.
Right.
So
I wonder who they played when it was just them. Well, the very first.
Yeah, they just played like local teams. Hibs were formed a year later, so we used to play Hibs quite regularly.
But for that first year when it was just Queen's Park, you meant they just played up against a wall?
I see. Oh, sorry, I see what you mean.
They got no one to play against. We're the only football club in Scotland.
Yeah, but I think there was a few sort of popped up because there was like before the rules were properly laid out, like the association rules, like there was every school or team or whatever had their own sort of version of the game. It was a mixture, sort of a cross between rugby and football.
Mm.
So a lot of the old schools around the country sort of had a version of this game. So they would play, like the schools would just kind of organize sort of games against each other, and then other local teams just started as the popularity of the game grew. It wasn't until 1873.
You're going to need to get these dates right, Paul.
Yeah, it's right in the script. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I would hope
so.
When association rules were sort of properly adopted.
I might just have to come along and fact check some of
your... Come along.
Excuse me. I noticed that you said it was 1874. Well,
you sound like Zippy from Rainbow.
Thanks. Do you know what? I think what we've learned is I can do far more accents than you. I can do Australian, even though it sounds a bit Cockney.
Mm-hmm. Cockney, even though it sounds a bit Australian. Yes, you kind of got 2 for 1 there.
Zippy.
Yeah. Smashy and dicey, mate.
Mashy and dicey, mate. Yeah. All the contemporaries.
All the greats.
Yeah, there's another one I did the other day, and I can't remember. I thought, I'm building up quite a CV. I thought to myself,
anyway,
okay,
yeah,
well, that sounds fantastic, and I'll try and come and see that.
Okay, mate. I might even sort you out a ticket.
Please do.
Because you're my pal.
Thanks, mate.
I look after my pals.
Yeah, and if you thought I was having a crisis, you'd ring, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Mm. How are you feeling? Have you calmed down now after your reform leaflet through the...
I have. Yes, okay. I have.
It was very sweary, real. I was going to post it on Mindcake, but I thought it might, ruin the brand.
I ruined the brand after Cam Cooney's episode.
Can you see why I didn't bother getting the bleep machine out?
Oh God,
they've been there all day.
It just would have been a constant beep. You wouldn't have heard any dialogue.
No. Oh, hang on.
Oh, who's this now?
Oh, hello.
What are you wanting?
Are you coming for a cuddle?
Oh, I just want a cuddle.
Oh, you cuddle with your old dad.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I'm going to let you continue cuddling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go and finish writing this play.
Go and finish writing the play, and I will... So do you want to do a very quick housekeeping, and then we'll sign off?
I've done housekeeping already.
Have you?
Yeah.
Have you?
No.
I never tidy my room up.
Okay. So,
What do you think of the Wolves Foundation, Erin?
I don't know.
well, I mean, I think there'll be quite a few people out there who don't know about the Wolves Foundation and what they do. So why don't we listen?
Why don't we listen to that
find out?
and find out?
I mean, first our nannies and then we're having Emma wee bear sleep, so our nannies, and then we're going to London for 2 sleeps.
Wow, that sounds
That's
great.
true. And what are we going to do in London, Erin?
I don't know what's in London.
We're going to go and do it. We're going to see a show, aren't we? What show are we going to see?
Frozen, and I like Frozen.
Oh, I like Frozen 2.
Oh,
Not
I
Frozen
prefer
2, the sequel.
I was going to say
like
I
Frozen
prefer
as
the
well.
first one. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant stuff.
Oh,
Dad,
yes,
I'm
Dan.
gonna play Harry Potter.
You want to play Harry Potter, do you? Right.
Okay. That
I'll
sounds
go.
like fun.
I'll go and play
Well-
Harry Potter. You go and write a play, and see you on the other side, sister.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye!
Let's start a podcast about our mental health for no good reason why. Let's call it Mind Cake.
Now can I play Harry Potter?
Yes. Now you can play Harry Potter. Yeah.
Yay, Harry Potter.